convincing you that losing yourself is noble, that sacrifice is the ultimate romance, that pain is proof of depth. But it's a trick. A brilliant, subtle trick designed to make you surrender your control. Think about it. The moment you start chasing love, you lose your balance. You start giving more than you receive, always hoping that one more act of kindness, one more grand gesture, will finally make them stay. You become predictable, desperate, addicted, and let me tell you, nothing is more dangerous than dependency. When you depend on love from someone else, you let them decide your happiness, your peace, and your value. When they pull away, you collapse, not because they broke your heart, but because you let them own a part of you that you never bothered to build for yourself. It's crucial to understand human nature. At our core, we are wired for survival, not necessarily for loyalty. People love when it benefits them. They adore you when it's easy, convenient, and feels good. But the moment it costs too much effort, too much emotional energy, too much sacrifice, they leave. It's not usually malicious. They're just protecting their comfort, their ego, their sense of power. They're choosing themselves. This is why the wise never chase love. They attract it. How? By not needing it. They cultivate a life that is so full, so engaging, so complete on its own, that love becomes an addition, not a necessity. They remain mysterious, grounded, and whole. Their silence speaks louder than anyone's begging. Their distance creates a magnetic curiosity, and curiosity, as we know, often breeds desire. Love instinctively follows strength, not weakness. So how do you build this strength? You build yourself into someone who doesn't need love to feel complete. When you do that, you become the kind of person everyone wants. Why? Because you're rare. You're calm in the middle of chaos. You're not desperately trying to be seen or validated. You're simply existing as your own source of light. And people can't resist what they can't easily control. Hear us a dark but powerful truth about human nature. We are irresistibly drawn to what we can and easily possess. When you chase someone, you signal that you're attainable, maybe even desperate. They lose respect. But when you pull back, when you focus on your own world, they start to wonder. What makes them so unbothered? What do they have that I don't? Suddenly, you're a mystery to be solved. The power dynamic shifts entirely. It lies in not needing anyone to complete you, because you finally realized you already are whole, you already are enough. Love should never be the mission, it should be the reward. And only the strong, the self-reliant ever truly earn it. Those who understand this fundamental principle stop giving their hearts away so cheaply. They stop wasting their breath explaining themselves to people who refuse to listen. They stop trying to prove their worth to those who are blind to it. They learn a priceless lesson. Peace is worth more than passion, and freedom is far greater than attachment. Think of it this way. When you chase love, you're broadcasting to the world that your happiness is for sale, available to the highest bidder of attention. But when you stop chasing, you send a different message. You teach the world that your soul, your inner peace, cannot be bought. So stop seeking completion in others. Turn that energy inward. When you do, you will finally meet the version of yourself you were always meant to be. The strong, centered, and uncheckable you, and that's when the magic happens. Love will come, but it will come when you no longer need it. It will stay, but it will stay because you no longer beg for it. The real power isn't in being loved by someone else. It's in being so unshakably content with yourself that their presence or absence does unfundamentally change who you are. Once you reach that point, you become untouchable. You are free. You are beyond manipulation. The world and the people in it will start to bend toward you, drawn to your self-contained energy. You won't have to chase love because it will be drawn to your silence, your focus, your unshakable confidence. In the end, the greatest love story you will ever experience is not with another heart. It's the one you build within your own. It's the profound, quiet understanding that you are enough, all by yourself, without anyone else there to prove it. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button. Subscribe for more content that challenges the way we think, and share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. Until next time, stay strong and stay true to yourself. Have you ever felt like you're constantly running a race, chasing after a love that always seems just out of reach? What if I told you the secret isn't to run faster, but to stop running altogether? When you finally stop chasing love, something profound begins to shift inside you. The constant noise of anxiety and expectation that once consumed you starts to fade. And that silence you used to fear, it transforms. It becomes your sanctuary, your source of power. Suddenly, you start to see with crystal clarity how much of your precious life was spent waiting for someone else to give you the love and validation you could have built within yourself all along. You begin to recognize a pattern. Every promise of love seemed to come with hidden expectations. Every sweet word carried a subtle chain. It's not that people intentionally want to control you. Often it's their own fear at play, the fear of losing what feeds their ego. And here's a truth that can be tough to swallow, but incredibly liberating once you accept it. Most people love you for how you make them feel, not for who you truly are. The moment you stop making them feel special, they often vanish. Now, this isn't necessarily a betrayal. It's just the brutal, unfiltered honesty of human desire. People aren't always loyal to other people. They're loyal to the emotions those people provide. As long as you can give them pleasure, comfort, and validation, they'll stay. The moment you stop, they move on to the next source. This is precisely why you must never, ever build your inner peace on the unstable foundation of someone else's affection. It's like building a house on sand. The first storm that rolls in, it will collapse, every single time. Think about it. Love that demands you to shrink yourself isn't love, it's poison. Love that costs you your peace of mind isn't love, it's manipulation. And love that constantly keeps you chasing is just a game of control. Once this understanding clicks, everything changes. You stop romanticizing pain. You stop calling that gut-wrenching anxiety love. You stop mistaking fleeting attention for genuine affection. Your real power emerges the moment you choose solitude over dependency. When you learn to be truly alone, to calm your own storms without needing anyone else, the world loses its hold on you. Why? Because no one can dangle love in front of you like bait anymore. You're not starving for it. You are already full. You are whole. You are free. And people will feel this shift. They'll see it in your eyes, a newfound, unbothered calm, a complete lack of desperation. And honestly, it will probably scare some of them. Because they can't control what doesn't need them. They can't play games with someone who has nothing to lose. They can't threaten to leave you because you were never really following them in the first place. You were already standing firmly on your own ground. And that, right there, is when real love starts to appear. It doesn't come from a place of need, but from a place of mutual respect. It's not born from a fear of being alone, but from the genuine recognition of your strength. When you master this, you stop chasing what runs away. You stop begging for what fades. You stop apologizing for being too much. You become silent, powerful, and wonderfully unpredictable. Because now, love has to earn your attention. And that's exactly how it should always be. People should have to work to keep a place in your life, not the other way around. The world teaches us that to be loved, we must give everything we have away. But the real truth is this: to be respected, you must be willing to walk away. And that takes far more strength than any grand romantic gesture. When you stop chasing love, you start attracting peace. Your entire aura changes, your energy solidifies, your standards rise naturally. You start saying no to half-hearted efforts and vague maybes. You stop wasting your energy hoping people will change. You begin to see that not everyone deserves access to your softness because your softness is sacred. When you give it to the wrong hands, it becomes your weakness. You learn that distance is power. Silence is power. Restraint is power. You don't need to react to every little thing to prove your value. Your calm confidence does it for you. In a world that thrives on emotional chaos, being calm is an act of rebellion. Being emotionally detached is a form of dominance. When you stop chasing love, you create space to chase your purpose. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you chase your purpose, love starts chasing you. People are naturally drawn to those who move with direction and intention. Your focus becomes magnetic, your discipline becomes beautiful. Your self-respect becomes absolutely irresistible. Love without boundaries can be destructive, but love built on a foundation of self-respect becomes a creative, beautiful force. So stop running after those who walk away from you. Stop begging for energy that only drains you. And please, stop calling it destiny when it's just an addiction to the chase. Remember this: the one who truly loves you will never, ever make you chase them. They will meet you halfway. They will protect your peace, not destroy it. Until that person arrives, choose yourself. Over and over and over again. Because the moment you truly choose yourself, the universe begins to realign. Everything that truly belongs to you will start to find its way to you, including the kind of love that never asks you to lose yourself to feel worthy. Once you reach that state of inner wholeness, you'll never chase love again, because you'll finally realize love was never something you had to find out there. It was always something you had to become from within. Thank you so much for watching. If this message resonated with you, please give this video a like and subscribe for more content that helps you build a life you love. We'll see you in the next one. When you stop chasing love, you start to see the invisible games people play. It's subtle, but it's there. You notice how quickly affection can curdle into control, how promises quietly transform into pressure, how a beautiful connection suddenly feels like a leash. People say they want love, but what most of them are really after is possession. They don't want to understand you, they want to own you. They want to mold your emotions to soothe their own insecurities, to make sure you stay right where they feel powerful. As long as you're chasing love, you're their puppet, dancing for a feeling that was never really real to begin with. True freedom begins the moment you see love for what it often is, a reflection of power dynamics hidden beneath a veneer of tenderness. It's human nature to crave being wanted, to feel significant in someone else's eyes. But that very hunger is what keeps you weak. When you crave to be chosen, you become blind to your own worth. You forget a fundamental truth: you are not supposed to chase what is already yours. You start confusing the thrill of uncertainty with genuine emotional depth. And that's how love becomes a trap. The uncertainty keeps you addicted, and the addiction keeps you chasing. It's a vicious cycle. The more you chase, the less you receive, and the cycle just feeds on itself endlessly until you're left completely drained, wondering why love always seems to hurt. It hurts because you gave it the power to. The moment you allow another person to define your happiness, you've essentially signed a contract for suffering. They don't even have to betray you. Their absence alone will be enough to destroy you. Their silence will control you. This is why the strongest souls learn detachment. Not because they're cold or unfeeling, but because they understand that emotional dependency is a slow death. Detachment doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you never lose yourself in the feeling. It means caring without clinging, loving without breaking, and giving without begging. When you reach that state, love stops being chaos and starts becoming calm. It becomes something you choose, not something you desperately chase. And people can sense it when you've mastered this. They feel your self-control, your inner balance, your quiet mystery, and they crave it. It's one of life's greatest ironies. When you no longer need love, it starts coming to you from everywhere. Why? Because people are instinctively drawn to power, and emotional control is the highest form of it. The weak will call you heartless. They'll say you've changed. But you haven't changed. You've just stopped worshiping your own wounds. You've stopped confusing pain with meaning. You've stopped believing that love must be earned through suffering. That's one of the oldest lies humanity tells itself. You were never meant to bleed just to deserve affection. You were always supposed to be whole, and let love be a reflection of that wholeness, not the reason for it. There will be moments when loneliness tries to trick you. It will whisper in your ear that you need someone else to feel alive, but loneliness isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. It teaches you how to sit with yourself, how to listen to your own thoughts without fear, how to truly enjoy your own silence. Once you master that, you'll never be truly lonely again, because solitude becomes your throne. Love might visit, but it will never rule you again. When you stop chasing love, you also learn the profound beauty of patience. You start to realize that everything meant for you will arrive in perfect alignment with your strength, not your desperation. You begin to attract connections that match your own calmness, people who value your presence rather than exploit your emotions. You stop settling for temporary warmth and start demanding a mutual fire. You stop giving endless chances to those who only show up when they feel lonely. You stop explaining yourself to people who never cared enough to listen in the first place. And most importantly, you start respecting your own time, your own mind, and your own peace. Because now you see what love was trying to hide all along, that the greatest power in the world is emotional independence. Once you have that, you're no longer controlled by the fear of losing people, because no one can take away what you never gave away in the first place yourself. So, stop chasing love. Let it come when it's ready. Let people prove their worth through their consistency, not just their words. Keep your distance from those who need to be begged to stay. Focus on building your life, your peace, your own empire. Love will find its way into your world when you are no longer searching for it. Because in the end, the one who doesn't chase love is the one who ends up with it and keeps it. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Take care of yourselves. When you stop chasing love, you start seeing the world with new eyes. The illusions fall away, the old patterns become visible, and you finally recognize that every heartbreak was never a punishment, but a revelation. Every disappointment was teaching you a vital lesson. The love you were so desperately seeking in others was always meant to be found within yourself. Think about it. How many times did you lower your standards just to feel chosen? How many times did you mistake chaos for passion? How many times did you convince yourself that pain was proof of depth? Let's be honest with ourselves. That wasn't love, it was dependency. It was an addiction disguised as affection. You weren't in love, you were in need. And need, my friends, always destroys the one who feels it. The more you chased, the further love moved away. Why? Because that energy of neediness repels respect. People are drawn to strength. They respect what they can't easily control. So when you stop chasing love, you become untouchable. You start operating from a place of abundance, not hunger. You no longer seek validation from others because you radiate self-assurance from within. You stop begging to be understood because you stand firm in your own mystery. And that's when everything shifts in your favor. Suddenly, the ones who ignored you start noticing you. The ones who left start missing you. The ones who underestimated you start seeing you as a force to be reckoned with. Not because you fundamentally changed who you are, but because you stopped playing their game. When you're no longer chasing love, you reclaim your most valuable assets, your time, your energy, and your peace. You stop performing for affection. You stop negotiating your worth. Instead, you start building yourself into someone whole and complete on your own. And when you are complete, your energy speaks louder than any words you could ever say. You walk into rooms differently, you talk less and observe more. You become the quiet storm that no one can predict. People sense this newfound control, and it can make them uneasy. Why? Because most people crave what they cannot have. When you are no longer emotionally accessible on demand, you become the rarest and most magnetic thing in the world. Love transforms from something that enslaves you into something you consciously choose. You learn that the right person doesn't need to be chased. They recognize your value from the start. They match your energy. They don't play games with your emotions. They protect your peace. They don't bring confusion. They bring clarity. They don't demand your attention. They earn it. Love becomes mutual, a partnership, not a relentless pursuit. This is what separates the powerful from the desperate. The powerful know that true love isn't about possession. It's about presence. It's not about finding someone to fill your emptiness. It's about sharing your fullness with another strong soul. When you stop chasing, you also stop fearing loss. You finally realize, deep in your bones, that no one can take away what is truly meant for you. And no one can keep what was never theirs to begin with. The anxiety fades. The obsession ends. And a profound peace takes its place. This peace becomes your armor against manipulation. The moment someone tries to control you or play games, you simply walk away. Without anger, without needing to explain, without a single regret, walking away becomes your power. Silence becomes your weapon. Distance becomes your filter, and detachment becomes your crown. You no longer need closure from others because you asterisk the closure. You no longer need their promises because you trust their actions. You stop chasing love and start attracting it effortlessly. You've become the kind of person who doesn't need to be completed anymore. You've learned that any love that demands you to lose yourself is not love at all, it's control. Real love, healthy love, allows you to grow into your fullest, most authentic power. And anyone who fears that power was never in love with you in the first place. They were in love with your submission. When you stop chasing love, you take back your throne, and from that throne, you don't chase, you command. You don't beg, you decide. You don't seek, you receive. You finally understand that love isn't the destination. It's a reflection of your own inner strength. When you master yourself, the world mirrors that mastery back to you in the form of peace, respect, and yes, love. The kind of love that finds you when you least expect it. The kind that doesn't hurt. The kind that doesn't drain. The kind that feels like coming home, finally, to yourself. Thank you so much for watching. If this message resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more content like this. We're building a community of strong souls here, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. When you stop chasing love, something ancient inside you awakens. It's the part of you that remembers who you were before the world taught you to beg for affection. Before you confused attention with worth, before you made pain a habit and called it love. You begin to realize that everything you ever gave to others, every ounce of devotion, every sleepless night, every sacrifice was never wasted. It was energy teaching you where not to give it again. You see how you've been conditioned to think that love is earned through effort, but real love is revealed through peace. When it's right, you won't have to fight. When it's real, you won't have to chase. The need to prove your value disappears, and you stand in quiet certainty, knowing that those meant for you will recognize your energy without you having to shout for it. The more you evolve, the less you crave to be understood, because now you understand yourself. You no longer explain your silence. You no longer justify your standards. You simply exist in your truth, and that truth makes the right ones stay and the wrong ones vanish. The universe always mirrors your energy. When you're desperate, it sends lessons. When you're calm, it sends blessings. When you're grounded, it sends alignment. Love starts chasing you when you stop begging for it because calmness is magnetic. You begin to attract people who match your peace, not your pain. People who respect your distance, not those who exploit it. You stop confusing chemistry with compatibility. You stop falling for potential. You stop rescuing broken souls, thinking your love will fix them. You realize you are not meant to save anyone, only to share space with those who have saved themselves. And in that realization, your power multiplies. The ones who used to control you now find themselves powerless. Your absence becomes heavier than your presence ever was. They finally understand that losing someone who no longer needs them is the greatest loss of all. When you stop chasing love, you start chasing purpose, and purpose fills the void love never could. It gives meaning to your solitude and strength to your silence. The world suddenly feels less empty because you are no longer waiting for someone to make it meaningful. You're creating meaning with your own hands. You learn that love is not a destination. It's a visitor. Sometimes it stays, sometimes it leaves, but you remain. You endure, you thrive. Love becomes a bonus, not a need. Your happiness no longer depends on someone staying. It's built on your ability to remain whole even when everyone leaves. And that kind of power terrifies people because they can't manipulate someone who isn't afraid of being alone. So they either rise to your level or they fade from your life, and either outcome is peace. When you stop chasing love, you start walking with a different kind of confidence. The quiet kind. The kind that doesn't need validation, doesn't crave an audience. The kind that comes from knowing you could lose everything and still be complete, because your strength was never borrowed from another person. It was born from the fire of every heartbreak that tried to break you and failed. This is the dark truth about human nature. Love is not pure, it's survival. It's desire wrapped in fantasy, it's need disguised as devotion. But when you rise above that illusion, when you understand the mechanics of emotion, you stop being a victim of it. You see through the masks, you hear the unspoken motives, and you play the game from a higher level. No longer emotional, no longer reactive, no longer attached. You move like someone who has seen behind the curtain. You smile, not because you trust, but because you understand that everyone is acting from their nature. You don't hate, you don't chase, you simply observe, and in that stillness lies ultimate control. Because the one who doesn't chase, the one who doesn't beg, the one who doesn't fear loss, is always the one who ends up being followed. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more content that helps you find your power. Have you ever felt like you're constantly running a race for love, always auditioning for a role in someone else's life? When you stop chasing love, you stop leaking your power into places that never deserved it. You stop shrinking yourself just to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. And that's when the real shift happens. Everything you were once so desperate to hold on to starts to lose its grip over you. The memories, the regrets, the people you thought you couldn't live without, they all just fade into quiet lessons that no longer hurt. Why? Because you finally understand they were never the source of your pain, your attachment was. You were suffering because you believed you needed them to feel alive. But when you learn to breathe without them, when you realize your heartbeat belongs only to you, a strange and wonderful peace takes over. The same silence that once made you anxious now feels sacred because it's yours. You no longer fill it with noise. You let it teach you, you let it cleanse you, and in that silence you start to hear your own truth whispering you were always enough. You just forgot. Love has always been inside you, waiting for you to stop begging the world for it. Once you stop chasing, you begin to attract everything that was repelled by your desperation. Confidence, peace, respect, power. People can sense when you belong to yourself. They can feel when your happiness isn't dependent on them, and that energy is rare, it's magnetic. It pulls without effort and influences without words. You stop reacting to rejection because rejection no longer threatens your identity. You stop fearing loneliness because you've befriended it. You stop clinging to temporary people because you finally understand that permanence doesn't exist, only presence does. Love stops being a battlefield and becomes a mirror, simply reflecting who you've become. Every connection either amplifies your peace or disturbs it, and your heart instantly knows the difference. When you stop chasing love, you start filtering the world through a completely different lens. You no longer ask, "Does this person love me?" Instead, you ask, "Do I feel at peace here?" You no longer beg for closure, you simply accept the truth. You no longer wait for apologies. You forgive in silence, not for them, but for your own freedom. You start walking away sooner, saying no faster, and honoring yourself like a sacred space. And in return, the universe starts sending you people who honor you too, because energy recognizes energy. When you finally stop chasing love, you also stop chasing validation, success, and attention. You see how all of them were just different forms of the same hunger. You were trying to feed the hunger to feel worthy. But now, you know worthiness isn't earned. It's remembered. You were born worthy. The world just made you forget. The truth about human nature is that people often project their own emptiness onto each other. They feed off attention and call it affection. They use others to escape themselves and call it love. But you're different now. You don't escape yourself anymore. You sit with yourself, understand your patterns, and heal them one by one. You no longer fear losing anyone because you've found the one person who was never supposed to leave you, your own soul. From this point forward, love becomes a choice, not a chase. You will love without losing yourself, give without bleeding, and connect without collapsing. You will be free. Because real power isn't in how much you can make someone love you. It's in how little you need their love to remain whole. And that power, that silence, that unshakable calm will make the world turn its head toward you. Because nothing is more irresistible than someone who has mastered the art of not chasing. When you stop chasing love, the entire rhythm of your life begins to change. The world starts to move slower, the noise quiets, and suddenly, you begin to see what everyone else is blind to. You see how desperation rules people's hearts, how easily emotions turn into manipulation, and how most relationships are built not on understanding but on control. When you stop chasing, you no longer fall into that trap. You begin to see love not as a fairy tale, but as an exchange of energy. Some give to fill their emptiness, others take to feed their ego. Very few love to share peace. And until you become whole, you will always end up in the wrong kind of love, because you will always attract what you are. When you're desperate, you attract takers. When you're peaceful, you attract builders. And when you are powerful, you attract equals. Love mirrors your state of being. It's never about finding the right person. It's about becoming the right energy. That's the part most people never understand. They want love before they build the strength to handle it. They want connection before they master solitude. But love given too soon becomes chaos because it finds you before you even know who you are. When you stop chasing love, you finally start to know yourself. You begin to meet the parts of you that were buried under years of pretending. You stop performing for attention and start existing in your truth. You start asking yourself the questions that hurt but also heal. Why did I think I needed them? Why did I beg for what broke me? Why did I mistake being chosen for being valued? You start to see that every heartbreak was a mirror reflecting your own lack of self-recognition. And once you understand that, everything shifts. You stop asking why they left and start asking why you stayed. You stop blaming others for your pain and start reclaiming the power you gave away. You realize love was never supposed to save you. It was supposed to challenge you to grow. And when the lesson is learned, the chase ends. Love becomes quiet, not loud. It feels safe, not thrilling. It feels peaceful, not addictive. And that's how you know it's real, because real love never needs to be hunted. When you stop chasing love, you begin to see that solitude is not emptiness, it's freedom. You see how powerful it is to wake up without anxiety, wondering who texted or who didn't. How peaceful it is to sit alone and not feel lonely. How beautiful it is to have no one's attention but still feel complete. This kind of independence scares people because the world teaches dependency. It glorifies neediness and makes you believe that to be alone is to be broken. But it's the opposite. The one who can stand alone is the one everyone follows, because that is real strength. When you stop chasing love, you move from fear to power, from chaos to clarity, from weakness to wisdom. You start recognizing patterns in people's behavior, the fake charm, the manipulation disguised as affection, the sweet words that hide control. And instead of falling for it, you simply smile. You've seen this before, and now you're untouchable. You've learned the hardest lesson there is, that love without power is slavery, and power without love is emptiness. So you choose balance, you choose control of your emotions. You choose to give your heart, but never your freedom. And that balance is what makes you truly dangerous in the most beautiful way. Because now, no one can play you. No one can shake you. No one can make you doubt your worth. You no longer chase. You attract. You no longer beg. You choose. You no longer break. You rebuild. And those who meet you now will either rise to your level or leave quietly, because your peace is no longer negotiable. In that state, love becomes effortless, natural, and real. Because you no longer need it to survive, you only allow it to enhance your already complete existence. That is the truth hidden behind the illusion of romance. Love is never found through chasing. It is found through becoming. When you stop chasing love, you become love itself. And everything you once begged for begins to follow you. Thank you so much for watching. If this message resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe for more content that empowers you on your journey. See you next time. When you stop chasing love, you begin to walk differently through the world. The same streets that once felt heavy now feel lighter. The same silence that once burned now soothes you. Because now you understand the truth. The world doesn't give love to those who beg for it. It gives love to those who command it. Not through words, not through need, but through presence. The kind of presence that speaks of self-mastery and calmness. When you stop chasing love, you emit a different frequency, one that says, I am not waiting for anyone. I am already whole. And that energy changes everything. Suddenly, people who once ignored you start noticing you. Not because you became more beautiful, but because you became harder to read. They can't sense your weakness anymore. They can't feed off your emotions. Your silence becomes a mystery, and mystery is power. People fear what they can't predict, and they desire what they can't fully understand. When you stop chasing love, you no longer fall for words because words are wind. You start watching actions, the tone of silence, the patterns of consistency. You start noticing how some people only love you when you are soft, when you are available, when you are easy, and how they disappear the moment you stand firm in your worth. You see through every manipulation, every emotional trick, every fake apology, and you don't get angry, you simply detach. Detachment becomes your superpower because it means your heart is no longer on the market. Your peace is no longer for sale, and your love is no longer a currency to buy validation. You start understanding that most people aren't looking for love. They're looking for comfort. And when comfort fades, they run to the next source of warmth. That's not betrayal. That's human instinct. But once you know this, you no longer take it personally. You accept it, you adapt, you evolve. And you protect your heart, not by building walls, but by building standards. Your standards become your armor, your discipline becomes your language, and your silence becomes your weapon. You start loving yourself in ways you once begged others to love you. You take yourself out on walks, you create peace in your surroundings, you speak kindly to your mind. You feed your soul like it's sacred, and it is. That's how love returns to you. Not from another person, but from life itself. Opportunities start flowing, doors start opening. People start gravitating toward you because love always follows power, not weakness. When you stop chasing love, you realize the universe never punishes you with loneliness. It prepares you through it. It teaches you to enjoy your own company, so when love finally arrives, it can't control you. It can only complement you because you've already mastered the art of being whole alone. The truth about human nature is that people always chase what runs away and run from what chases them. It's instinct. The moment you chase someone, they subconsciously believe they are above you. But the moment you walk away, they start wondering what made you so fearless. Why their approval no longer affects you, and that question haunts them. It draws them in, not because they love you, but because they crave the power they lost over you, and that is why you must remain centered. Never chase, never beg, never prove. Only move with quiet confidence. When you stop chasing love, you begin to attract connections that match your energy. Those who see your calm not as distance, but as depth. Those who find peace in your silence, not threat. Those who don't want to fix you, but to build with you. Because now you've learned what few ever do, that love is not something to seek. It is something you become. When you become it, the world mirrors it back to you in people, in art, in life itself. Love stops being a destination and becomes the air you breathe, unforced, unseen, unstoppable. When you stop chasing love, you no longer chase life either. You let it unfold, you let people come and go like seasons. You no longer fear endings because you've seen how every ending brings a rebirth. You live lighter, you love smarter, you walk slower, and you speak softer because you've learned that real power doesn't shout. It whispers, and the world listens. When you stop chasing love, you stop begging the world to notice you. You stop trying to convince people of your worth. You stop waiting for someone to choose you. Because you finally realize that the one who was supposed to choose you was always you. You begin to understand that love cannot be captured. It can only be mirrored. It reflects the state of your own soul. If you are desperate, you will meet those who take. If you are calm, you will meet those who give. If you are lost, you will meet those who confuse you. But if you are grounded, you will meet those who see you. Because people are mirrors, they reflect back the energy you send out. When you chase love, you scream to the universe that you are incomplete, and the universe keeps proving you right. It keeps sending you people who make you feel half because that's what you believe. But the moment you stop chasing, the moment you say, I am already whole, the vibration shifts. You start attracting peace, not drama. You start attracting presents, not promises. You start attracting love that doesn't burn you but builds you, and that's the love that lasts. When you stop chasing love, you begin to look at relationships differently. You stop asking, "How can I keep them?" and start asking, "Do they keep my peace?" You stop caring about who likes you and start caring about who respects you. You realize that not everyone deserves access to you. Not because you are arrogant, but because you are sacred. Your time is sacred. Your energy is sacred. Your emotions are sacred. And giving them freely to those who haven't earned them is self-destruction. Love without boundaries is a weapon that turns inward. And when you learn that lesson, you start setting standards that few can reach. And that's exactly how it should be. Because love is not about quantity, it's about quality. The fewer people you allow close, the purer your energy remains. When you stop chasing love, you realize that most people do not want connection. They want distraction. They want to escape their emptiness through your presence. They call it chemistry, but it's just two wounds touching each other. And when one starts to heal, the other feels abandoned. But you no longer fall for that. You no longer confuse attachment with loyalty. You no longer confuse pain with depth. You've grown past that. Now you understand that love that hurts constantly is not love. It's bondage. You stop romanticizing suffering. You stop craving the chaos you once called passion, and you start choosing peace. Because peace is the real luxury in a world that glorifies noise. When you stop chasing love, you become lighter. You start moving with grace. Your words become few but powerful. Your energy becomes calm but magnetic. You no longer enter rooms to be seen. You enter to observe, to read the air, to feel the truth behind smiles. Because now you can sense energy the same way you once felt emotion. And you realize energy never lies. You can feel who values you and who uses you, who admires you and who envies you, who loves you and who pretends to. You no longer need proof. You simply feel it and walk away with silence. Not anger, not revenge, just detachment. And that silence will echo louder than any argument could. When you stop chasing love, people start chasing you, not because you became different, but because you became rare. In a world obsessed with attention, you became still. And stillness is magnetic. It's the kind of power that can't be faked, can't be bought, can't be copied. It's born from mastery, from understanding the laws of human nature. Love runs from those who chase it, but it follows those who move in silence. That's the paradox most never learn because they're too busy trying to be loved to learn how to be powerful. But you now understand that power is the foundation of real love. Without power, love turns into begging. Without power, affection turns into manipulation. Without power, emotions turn into control. So you build yourself until your presence speaks louder than your words, until your silence holds more gravity than anyone's attention. And once you reach that state, love will appear. But this time, it will not shake you. It will not consume you. It will not define you. It will walk beside you because it will finally recognize you as its equal. This is the moment you've been chasing your whole life. And it begins the instant you stop chasing love. Thank you so much for watching. If this message resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content. Take care. Have you ever noticed how love seems to fade the moment you demand it? It shrinks under pressure and hides from those who beg for it. It's a strange paradox, isn't it? Real, genuine love often appears only when you stop desperately seeking it. That's because need is loud, it's noisy, and love, in its purest form, thrives in silence. The more you crave it, the further it seems to slip away. People can sense desperation, even when you're smiling. They can feel the hunger behind your words, see the emptiness behind your eyes, and they run. Not because they dislike you, but because an instinct whispers to them, "This person will drain me." So, they disappear, leaving you confused, wondering why your sincerity wasn't enough. But here's the thing. Sincerity without personal power can come across as weakness. It's like an open door with no one guarding it, inviting anyone to walk right in. When you learn to close that door not from bitterness, but from wisdom, something shifts. The world starts respecting what it can't easily have. People begin to crave what they can't easily understand. Love grows in the shadow of mystery, not in the bright light of overexposure. The less they know, the more they imagine, and our imagination is often far more potent than simple affection. The moment someone can predict your every word and your every move, your value starts to fade. Not because you've changed, but because familiarity can sometimes kill desire. That's a challenging truth of human nature. People say they want honesty, but they often crave the illusion. They say they want peace, but many are drawn to chaos. They say they want love, but they fear the vulnerability that comes with it. The person who understands this dynamic becomes untouchable. They don't play emotional games, yet they never seem to lose. Why? Because they've mastered the art of healthy distance. They know how to offer warmth without getting burned. They know how to listen without absorbing the negativity of others. They know how to love without becoming a servant to that love. And this balance, this self-possession, is incredibly powerful. In a world often driven by emotional hunger, true power isn't about being cruel. It's about control over yourself. It's the ability to stay calm when everyone else is panicking. It's the strength to stay silent when others are oversharing. It's the wisdom to walk away before you're disrespected. This is where real freedom is found. When you reach this state of inner stability, love stops being a battlefield. It becomes a mirror reflecting the strength you've so carefully built within yourself. And people sense it. They approach you more carefully. They speak a little slower, look a little longer. They can feel they are in the presence of someone who doesn't need them. And that is precisely when real, powerful attraction begins. The game ends the moment you stop playing it. This power can't be borrowed. It has to be built piece by piece. A heart that constantly seeks outside approval builds nothing. It's destined to collapse under the weight of expectations, where every disappointment feels like a personal betrayal. This happens because we're rarely taught that the first and most important love must be for oneself. When you spend your life bending for others, you forget the shape of your own spine. You forget the sound of your own voice. You forget what it feels like to exist without constantly explaining or apologizing for yourself. The universe notices every compromise, every silent surrender, and it can leave you feeling incomplete. But the moment you realize that fulfillment lives inside you, the external noise begins to fade. The chaos loses its grip. You start to walk differently with a new kind of confidence. You stop performing for validation and start observing the world around you. You see the patterns in human behavior, the subtle cues, the hidden motives, the false promises disguised as affection. And instead of reacting, you simply observe. You detach. Because attachment without wisdom is always destructive. The more you build your own strength, the more others will feel compelled to approach you, not to control you, but to align with your energy. When you exist as a whole, complete person, people either rise to match your energy or they quietly leave your life. The weak will drift away, unable to handle your calm. The manipulative will hesitate, realizing they have no leverage. And those who are your equals will approach with respect, wanting to add to your completeness, not take from it. True love cannot exist where need is the ruler. And need will always rule unless you choose independence, to walk alone without fear, to breathe without seeking permission, to stand tall without bending to the desires of others. When you achieve that level of self-mastery, love no longer chases you. It approaches you deliberately. It mirrors your power and elevates your state of being. It doesn't demand or possess. It only complements. Love that demands isn't love. It's a form of control. The person who learns to move through life without surrendering their inner peace becomes invisible to that control. In that invisibility lies true freedom. Nothing can touch you that hasn't earned the right to enter your space. Every word you speak becomes measured, every action deliberate. Every connection is chosen with care. You understand that the most powerful thing in the world is a heart that no longer needs permission, a soul that has stopped chasing validation, and a mind that has stopped bending for approval. When you reach that state, the world notices. It notices the silence, the self-possession, the lack of desperation. And it's drawn to you not out of need, but out of respect. The strongest love always follows strength, never weakness. It comes not to take, but to meet you on equal ground. It honors you but never commands you. It nurtures but never enslaves. It builds but never diminishes. This is the lesson hidden in human nature, the one we can only see when we stop running from ourselves and start standing firmly in the power we were all born to wield. Thank you for watching. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing and joining our community. We'd love to have you. Have you ever felt like you're stuck on a hamster wheel in your relationships, always chasing, always giving, and always ending up feeling a little bit empty? It's exhausting, isn't it? But what if I told you that the key to finding real, lasting connection isn't about running faster, but about stopping altogether? It's true. Distance teaches you things that closeness never can. When you finally take a step back from that endless chase for affection, for validation, for someone to finally get you, everything starts to look different. It's like putting on a new pair of glasses. Suddenly, the patterns that were invisible before become crystal clear. You start to see things for what they really are. You notice how easily some people can manipulate desire, dangling just enough hope to keep you hooked. You see how often affection is treated like currency, something to be traded for what they want from you. You recognize how frequently people's words promise you safety and security, while their actions are all about control. And this can be a tough pill to swallow, but you begin to realize that a lot of the love people offer is conditional. At its core, human nature is transactional. We're wired for survival. People often give when it benefits them and pull back when it no longer serves their needs. Now, this isn't to say everyone is cruel or malicious. It's not cruelty. It's instinct. It's simply how we operate as human beings, navigating our own needs and desires. But here's where the magic happens. The moment you truly understand this, everything changes. You stop taking rejection so personally. You stop thinking that every bit of attention someone throws your way is a sign of deep devotion. You stop confusing someone just being physically present with genuine commitment. Why? Because you've learned the fundamental truth. The one who is truly meant to be in your life will not make you question your place in it. They will not leave you guessing, and they certainly won't leave you in the first place. This is the turning point where you start treating yourself as the prize. You become the one who no longer begs the world for a stamp of approval. You become the one whose standards are non-negotiable. Your heart is no longer a rental property for someone to occupy temporarily. Your peace of mind is no longer up for grabs. And in that moment of self-possession, your entire energy shifts. It's something people can feel before they even meet you. They sense that you are untouchable not because you've become cold or built walls around your heart, but because you are whole and complete all on your own. This creates a fascinating paradox in human connection. People are drawn to you not because they think they can control you or change you, but precisely because they can't. They're attracted to your strength, your self-assuredness, your completeness. This is the true nature of power in relationships. The more whole you are within yourself, the more authentic, genuine love naturally gravitates toward you. No manipulation required, no chasing needed, no desperate neediness. Think about it. When you stop letting other people's opinions define your self-worth, when you stop shrinking yourself down to fit into their tiny boxes, when you stop performing for their approval, that's when you start attracting the right kind of people. You start to attract individuals who honor your space, who cherish your presence, who add to your calm instead of constantly disrupting it. And it's in that beautiful, peaceful space that you finally understand the difference between a fleeting attraction and an enduring connection. You see that real, solid love isn't about two halves making a whole. It's built on a foundation of mutual respect. It's about two whole individuals recognizing and celebrating each other's completeness. It's the ability to share a life without depending on the other person to fill your voids or fix your broken pieces. The person who masters this art walks through the world with a certain lightness. They observe situations without overreacting. They understand human nature without surrendering their own boundaries. And in this state of mastery, every relationship becomes a reflection of their inner strength. Every encounter becomes a lesson, and every attachment becomes a measure of their self-possession, not a loss of it. Because once you have stopped chasing, once you've stopped seeking your value outside of yourself, You have taken back the most important things in the world: your power, your freedom, and your peace. And when you reclaim these things, love no longer feels like a frightening, chaotic force. It doesn't feel like a chain around your heart. Instead, love honors you. It complements the amazing person you already are. It becomes a beautiful mirror, reflecting the mastery you've cultivated within yourself. You become the source, not the seeker. And from that place, everything is possible. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey today. If this message resonated with you, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel for more content on building a powerful and peaceful life. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care. Patience becomes your closest ally. The longer you wait without compromise, the more your presence sharpens into something irresistible. You begin to see that the world is filled with illusions disguised as love, illusions that most people blindly follow, and the ones who seek to control you, they will never admit their motives. They will smile, they will flatter, they will entice, yet their intent will always be self-serving. The moment you learn to observe without reacting, you see through every mask. You hear the subtle truth behind every word. You feel the hidden desire behind every gesture, and you no longer respond out of need. You respond out of awareness. You no longer bend to preserve a connection, you bend only to align with your principles. In that alignment, your energy radiates a calm that is magnetic. It pulls not through coercion, but through certainty. It attracts not by pleading, but by commanding with silence. And that is the quiet law of human nature that most never learn. The world chases what is weak, it respects what is steady, it desires what is unattainable. When you no longer chase, you embody the unattainable. You become the still point in a storm, the eye that everything revolves around. The ones who once ignored you now notice your absence. They measure your value by what they lost, by the calm you embody, by the independence you wield. And in that measurement, they are drawn not by your desperation, but by the mastery you exude. You begin to understand that love is never about who reaches first. It's about who stands longest. It is never about who demands attention. It's about who earns respect. And that respect cannot be rushed, it cannot be purchased, it cannot be faked. It must be cultivated within yourself first, because a heart that is incomplete cannot recognize completeness in others. The one who is whole walks without fear, without expectation, without attachment. And in that walking, they draw to themselves the people who are capable of matching that presence. The love that is enduring, the connection that is mutual, the bond that honors boundaries and nourishes without consuming. You realize that chasing was always the trap, the effort to control the uncontrollable, the desire to own what was never yours to own. Liberation comes the moment you stop trying. When you finally stop giving your power away in the hope of someone else's affection, you reclaim your life, your energy, your peace. The universe aligns with that reclamation, giving you encounters not for validation but for recognition, giving you love not for possession but for resonance, giving you connection not for dependence but for harmony. And that is the ultimate mastery in human nature, to understand that the chase never works. Surrender never works, begging never works. Only presence, power, patience, and self-possession ensure that what is meant for you arrives and stays, without fear, without compromise, without loss of self. Silence becomes your teacher. In the absence of constant pursuit, you start hearing the truth that noise once drowned out. You hear your own thoughts without judgment, without distraction, without the desperate need for someone else to echo them. You feel the rhythm of your own heart, the depth of your own mind, and the strength of your own will. In that awareness, you begin to understand the nature of attachment. Most humans mistake intensity for love. They confuse obsession with devotion. They see desperation and call it passion, but real love is calm, it is patient. It does not demand, it does not panic, it does not flee at the first sign of resistance. The more you understand this, the more you cease to participate in the illusions that others create for you. You stop mistaking fleeting attention for connection. You stop confusing proximity with loyalty. You stop letting empty words define your worth. And suddenly, your world shifts. Your energy changes. Your presence speaks louder than any argument, louder than any display, louder than any attempt to manipulate you into caring or pleading or chasing. You start to walk through the world observing without attachment, choosing without fear, giving without expectation, and people sense this. They notice it without knowing why. They are drawn to you because you have become rare in a world obsessed with need. You have become the calm in a storm, the force that does not bow to pressure, the presence that cannot be owned. And that is magnetic because humans are wired to seek what they cannot dominate. The ones who once ignored you now wonder about you. The ones who underestimated you now respect you not because you demanded it, but because you stopped demanding it from yourself. And in that respect lies true power. The freedom to move through connections without losing yourself. The ability to love without sacrificing your peace. The capacity to engage without being enslaved. Every relationship now becomes a reflection of your strength, every bond a measure of your self-possession, every encounter an exercise in mastery. Because you have learned that the greatest love is never given by others. It is cultivated within yourself. And the one who masters this art walks untouched, unshaken, unclaimed. And in that untouchable state, love finally finds its way to them. Not as a storm, but as a companion. Not as a chain, but as a mirror of the power they have claimed within their own heart. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this message resonated with you, consider subscribing and sharing it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, stay present and stay powerful.